senior here at the Philadelphia High School for Girls, and today we are here with
Valerie Gay. I am not a senior anymore. I am a 227, class of 227, 1983.
Wow.
Right.
So to just jump right into the interview, my first question for you is, what inspired you to want to be a voice for the art, specifically the art in schools?
Sure. Actually, it was Girls High that inspired me because if I had not gone to Girls High, it's unlikely that I would have the life that I have today. In fact, it was December of my senior year here at Girls High. On a Friday, I was in music class. I was technically, I guess, a music major, but frankly, I only did it because it was something I was good at and I didn't have to take too many additional other classes. I was tired. I was a senior. I was tired. I should say, I did not want to go on a class trip. It was Friday night. It was cold. I don't like the cold. It had been snowing, and we were going to see opera. Why? We had studied a little bit about the opera, but I went on the trip. I was honor roll student, so I had to keep up my grade point average, and it changed my life. That night changed my life. I did not know what was really inside of me, and when I saw Jessie Norman, look her up, Jessie Norman, Jessye Norman, enter the stage of the Academy of Music, it changed my life. And I should tell you, Jessie Norman was an African-American woman. She was larger than life in so many ways. And at this point, she was a very large woman, I don't know, 400 pounds maybe, I don't know, and very tall. And she was regal. She was playing Dido, the Queen of Carthage, North African country. She came out, and she was very regal. She kind of floated across the stage. And there was a very famous bass baritone at the foot of the stage on one knee. And she gently placed her hand on his shoulder, kind of like this, and he collapsed under the weight. Now, I'll tell you, it was a dress rehearsal. I didn't know this at the time. It was a dress rehearsal. And in the amphitheater where I was Girls High, Central, and Masterman. And they had just reopened it up to students going to this dress rehearsal. Because the year or 2 years before, somebody from Masterman took a penny and threw it from the amphitheater just to see what would happen, and it cracked like a priceless cello. So we were all banned. So this is our first time back, and we all started laughing. And then she opened her mouth, and everything changed for me. Everything went away, and it was Jessie Norman on the stage singing to Valerie Gay in one of the last rows at the very top of the Academy of Music. And fortunately for me, there was no intermission, so there was no break in the story. And that, the story is it's kind of like a version of Romeo and Juliet. And at the end, she takes a snake and she bites and she gets bitten and she sings this amazing aria when I'm dead, remember me, but don't remember my fate, forget my fate. And then the chorus sings the last thing and she's gone. And then the lights come up. And then I realize, people are around me again. I realize I'm crying. And then I realized quickly that I was the only one crying. I was also very shy here. I was a little on the nerdy side, just enough, right? And so I was trying to get myself together because everybody was looking like, what's wrong with her? And I was trying to get myself together. And my teacher, Mr. Murphy, William Murphy, who taught here vocal music for 40 years, he looked up at me. By the way, he was also Jill Scott's teacher. He was a bunch of opera singers' teachers. He was the man. He looked up at me as we were coming down the stairs, and I was still trying to get myself together. He said, "Did you like that?" And I was like, "You think I could do that for a living?" And without missing a beat, he said, "Come see me on Monday." Now, I tell you, Mr. Murphy had done anything. If he had raised an eyebrow, I'd be like, I was just joking. No, it was all right. But he didn't. And all weekend long, I didn't tell my parents. I was just so nervous. I came in on Monday morning, kind of very nervous, fidgeting, and he was like, "Okay, were you serious?" And I was like, "Yes, were you?" He was like, "I was. Let's get to business." 3 months later, Mr. Murphy had helped me choose what school to audition for. 3 months later, I had been accepted to 5 of the top conservatories in the country. Now, what I know as a Girls High girl is that, as we all know about the intangible spirit, that we are raised to be, we're being groomed to be citizens of the world, that we can be ourselves wherever we are in the world. But what I also didn't understand with that was how important it is to make sure folks have a full spectrum of education and exposure. Because clearly I had the talent, and that was even hard for me to say. It's still hard for me to say. Clearly I had the talent to get into these schools. But it was more than talent. It was that was being educated all along, just to live an educated life, not necessarily to be a professional musician. And then it would have been, okay, fine, I got into the schools. It's what happened next. When we chose Peabody Conservatory at Johns Hopkins University. I get there. I had never had a voice lesson before. Mr. Murphy got me a scholarship to have 3 voice lessons over the summer at Settlement Music School. So that at least I know what I was doing. I got there, right? Never had a voice lesson. I'm now surrounded by people from all over the world who, some of them, when their parents were in utero, their parents were preparing for them to be in that same spot next to me, and like 9 months before, I didn't even know I was interested in it. And so now I'm competing on a global stage. I knew I was smart, because, duh, I was here, right? And so, but what was really important was that I never had to take a remedial class. In fact, I was in upper level classes, even as a musician, because of the classes that I took here and the experiences I had here. And so I didn't forget your question, I am a champion of the arts because of my singular experience here at Girls High. And I know I'm not the only one. And so I often think if this happened to me, and that night when Jesse Norman was saying, it's literally like something on the inside opened up that I didn't know was there. And if we can expose everyone to everything, we just don't know. There's someone that says, that I know a man who coined the phrase STEM. His name is Dr. Joseph Berdonia. He was the Chief Operating Officer of the National Science Foundation when they came up with the word STEM. You should know, at the time of this taping, the Phillies are in the World Series, I'm just saying. Well, Dr. Bedonia is from Philadelphia. He was sitting at the table, and initially it was supposed to be Mets. But as any good Philly fans, like, oh, we're not calling it Mets. And so he was sitting there the whole time as they were talking, like, can't be math. What about STEM? And they were like, oh, we like that. And he said to me, I ruminated and I said STEM, and I wasn't thinking far enough to add the arts and say STEAM. So that because the arts are incorporated into it, the scientific methodology is no different than the artistic methodology. Constantly having hypotheses and trying those hypotheses out and iterating, that is what we do. When we say doctors, we say they are practicing medicine. When we talk about lawyers, we say they are practicing law. When we say scientists, they are practicing what their craft is. When we talk about the arts, we're doing the same thing. And so I am such a champion because I want all of us to have the exploration and the experience. And it doesn't mean that you have to become an artist, but we also know that the arts can be our way into connecting to our humanity. And so I want to reintegrate all of us, and that we don't have to just be a brain. We can be a brain and a heart. You know, if I only had a kneecap, it would be great, but if it was not connected to my body, not so good. You know, so we need the arts for that. That was just question 1. That was a long one. I promise. The next one's going to be really short.
I love your answer. I love that it was thought out. I love that you dropped a lot of gems. Hopefully you guys got that. I really appreciate that. Sure. Thank you so much. So my next question is, which out of all of your accomplishments do you think is allowing you to be inducted today?
I don't know. I'm so grateful. Well, I will say this, everything for me kind of leads back to Girls High. I just want to say I'm so honored. My junior year, we had, you guys still have kind of almost like career day, and like, so, you know, career day, these women come in and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, they're larger than I'm like, I'll never be like that. And so at the time, Dr. Constance Clayton was the first African American woman to run the district. She might have been the first woman, period. Maybe the second woman, but the first African to run the district. And she came in, she was a Girl Scout girl. She came in and she said, what's important is to have an education and you girls need a solid education and don't take it for granted and continue to learn. And then she said, and I remember I was sitting like this, and she said, some of you will have 3 and 4 careers because you don't have to do the same thing that you left school to do. I was like, wait, what? What did she say? What did she say? And I remember I remember what I was wearing, I remember where I was sitting, and I looked around, and everybody was just kind of like, what? It was like lightning bolt went through my spine, because in my family, I'm the first to go to college in my family, and in my family, people got jobs and they kept those jobs. And at the time, my grandmother was working at Planters Peanuts in Suffolk, Virginia. I literally have a photo of my grandmother with a tiara on a parade float as Miss Planters, because she was there for like 60 years. So I thought that was what I was supposed to get to choose, and then you were stuck. And it changed my life. So as a result, every time I made a different choice, I remember what Dr. Clayton said. So when I went to college, everyone was like, why are you going into music, When I then went into banking, people were like, what are you doing? And I left banking, and I was a certified financial planner and was speaking on investments and, to people all over the country on TV and writing magazine articles. But it wasn't as fulfilling. I was passionate about it, but it wasn't my passion. Then I went into academia. People were like, what are you doing? Why would you leave this lofty position to go into a college? And I loved it. And I was there for 8 years. And when I left there to run Art Sanctuary and community arts organizations, people were like, what are you doing? But I knew what I was supposed to be doing. And to me, the through line is the same. And it's funny, the same people who smirked at me or asked these questions are the same people who clap today. And some of them on the QT actually will DM me and say, can I talk to you about, I'm thinking about changing my career. Can you give me advice, right? And so, ladies, please think about this. If your heart is telling you something to do, you really analyze it. I'm not just saying be free, willy-nilly or anything like that, but if you have there's something that's just keep pulling towards you. You've done your research, you've done your due diligence. Even if the people around you, listen to the people around you, but don't listen if it means that they're squashing your dreams, because those are your dreams, not someone else's. We don't need another Demaya, we have one right here. But we do need you. We need you. And so what I learned from that, I think there's no one thing. It's all combined, right? And then what I learned from here is a sign of intelligence is being able to transfer knowledge from one thing to the next. So to me, I feel like I've only had one job, in 4 different industries, but it's been kind of the same thing. And at the end of the day, everything that I do is connected to my purpose. My purpose is to use my gifts and talents to encourage, inspire, and maybe even empower others to seek and find their own life's potential, so that together and individually we can make the world a better place. Right? And so everything I do, I want to be grounded in that. And so whoever's watching, all the ladies here in the room, when you find your life's potential, and I've been in relationship with you, then that's helped me fulfill my potential, right? And so I think that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much. You're actually out of time. But thank you so much for all the gems that you dropped. Hopefully you guys took a lot away from that.